Alright, so what we're gonna do right now is we're going to start the commentary of the Ran on Massechet Nedarim. They say that Ran, he was a rabbi in Barcelona, and uh, he's called Nissim of Gerona, from what it seems. He was on the Iberian Peninsula, Spain. Um, so it's very interesting. His commentary starts really cool. Let's see. It's clear that it's from his own output that he drank from the waters of the great Sephardic authorities who preceded him, including Nachmanides, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, the Rashba, Rabbi Shlomo ben Ateret, and the Ra'ah. Interesting. So it seems like he was the student, or he drank from the drank from their waters, like it says here. It's clear his father, Reuven ben Nissim, was one of the primary teachers quoted several times in his writings. My father, my teacher. Alright. So, very cool. This is a big commentary on him. So, with God's help, we will read through it. Then maybe later. Because we want to get into his commentary today, with God's help, on Tractate Nedarim. Sefaria. So, Sefaria, Talmud. Alright. Ran. Okay. It's a big run. And we might need some help from GPT. So, with God's help. But I'll tell you the first part. It's very simple. Because the Mishnah, this is the first Mishnah in the Tractate Nedarim, and it starts like this: Kol Kinei Nedarim Kinedarim. All of the nicknames of vows are considered like vows. Okay? So, we don't really need this at the moment because it says Kol Kinei Nedarim Kinedarim. It's pretty simple. Okay, Kol Kinei Nedarim Kinedarim. So it starts like the Ran starts like this: Neder hu be'echad mishnei inyanim. A vow is one of two things. Either it is neither a hekdesh, either it is considered a vow that's that somebody attributes something holy into the temple. Shehu makdish lebedek habayit, that he attributes something, some random object or whatever, or money maybe, something he attributes and like gives over to the temple, lebedek habayit, or lemizbeach, or to the altar, one of these two things. And in this concept, he can only sanctify, right, when he's giving over to the temple, or the altar. He's like sanctifying things off. He can only sanctify ma shehu shelo, only what is his own. Ve'isuro kolel kol adam, and the prohibition of like using that thing that he sanctifies over to the temple or the altar, the prohibition of like using it or like taking value from it or somehow somehow using it, kolel kol adam. It's forbidden to every person. Od nidrei isur she'asar al atzmo dvarim mutarim. And the second type, O Nidre Isur. So first it says im Nidre Hekdesh Hu Shum Bankdish Betakabayit, or it's one of two things. Either it is Nidre Hekdesh Hu Makdish Betakabayit, or it is Nidre Isur Shasar al Atzmo, or the only other one it could be is if it's a vow that one prohibits something upon himself. O Nidre Isur Shasar al Atzmo Dvarim Hamutarim, things that is permitted to himself, he forbid upon himself. So there's two types of vows. Whether it's someone who sanctifies something to the temple or to the altar, or it's something that someone forbids upon himself. And in this thing, he can forbid upon himself anything from the world, right? It doesn't have to only belong to him. I feel even if it's his friends, like even if the belongings are to his friends. Allah. But the prohibition to derive, like to use it or whatever, is not equal to all. Like it's mainly to him, right? He's the one who forbids upon himself. So it's like somebody else is not forbidden to, like if he forbids to touch an apple upon himself. Like if somebody else touches the apple or like throws it in his hand or whatever, from hand to hand, that doesn't mean he's forbidden to it. He didn't make the vow. Only the first guy made the vow upon himself to forbid himself the apple. So the other guy is not really liable. So now for the dedication of the temple, if someone dedicates something to the temple, that nobody in the world can like use that thing. It's like only for the temple. Okay, Massechet Zo hi beinyan nidre isur. However, in this concept, in this tractate, it's specifically talking about the prohibition of prohibiting things upon them, when a person prohibits something upon themselves, right? Shema sheshana kan charamim kicharamim. However, we'll show you guys a little something what it says. It says in the Mishnayot, kinuim kol kinuim kol nedarim kol kinuei nedarim kinedarim, right? So every nickname of vows are like vows. V'charamim kecharamim. Now he's gonna ask a question on this, but in charamim kecharamim, charam is when you also give something to the temple. Why is it here? When if he just said this whole tractate is talking about vows, specifically the vows that are prohibiting upon themselves, and not really the vows that have to do with dedicating something to the temple. So he says here that the reason is Shema sheshana kan charamim kecharamim. However, the reason it's talking about cherem, when we know that the common translation for the word cherem means to dedicate something for the temple, hainu mishum shelashon cherem keshem shehu kolel charmei beit habayit, just because the language, meaning the connotation of the word cherem, just because sometimes it has a connotation of meaning to dedicating something to the temple, the same way sometimes it includes isro nidre isor. Sometimes it has also the connotation of being a vow that somebody like prohibits upon themselves something. Okay, that's not like, come on, as we're gonna learn later. Nedarim daf mem zayin. So apparently he's gonna talk about it there. Okay, with God's help, we'll get there soon. With God's help. Hareini alecha cherem hamudar asur, hare at alai cherem hamadir asur. Okay, so we're gonna ask ChatGPT specifically for the translation of this, because it's kind of interesting. Here he says, He's gonna say. So ChatGPT. So it says here, Hareini alecha cherem, and then it says Hamadur Asur, Hareini at alai cherem Hamadir Asur. So what does it mean he's Asur, and like what is he implying that he is Asur from though? You know?
Sure. So the phrase Hareni aleka cherem or Hareni atalai cherem is kind of a way of saying I am placing a ban or a restriction on you, or I'm placing a ban on myself regarding you. The term cherem traditionally means something like a ban, an excommunication, or a
Can
prohibition.
you say the both of the examples one more time?
Absolutely. The two examples are Hareni aleka cherem, meaning I place a ban on you, and Hareni atalai cherem, meaning I place a ban on myself regarding you. So those are the two phrases. Just repeat it.
All right. Areni. So first one is, behold, I'm placing you on a ban. No.
Yeah, that's pretty much the idea. The first one, Hareni aleka cherem, is like saying, "Behold, I'm placing you under a ban, or I'm putting a restriction on you." And the
But
second
what
one
does
is
it
just
mean that somebody's prescribing a prohibition on somebody else though? What does that mean? That he's prescribing a ban.
yeah. So basically, when someone's kind of putting this ban or prohibition on someone else, they're essentially saying, "I'm making it forbidden for me to interact with you," or "I'm making it forbidden for you to benefit from me." It's kind of a way of creating a social or religious boundary. So it's just a formal way of saying, "Hey, there's a line here, and you can't cross it."
All right. And then when somebody says hare at alai cherem, so so pretty much he made a ban on Hamadur Asur. uh,
Exactly. You got
and then it says the next one is Hare at alai cherem. You are forbidden upon me. Okay, fine. So meaning the Hamadur means the guy, the guy who he prescribed the ban on. He's saying if that guy crosses the line, he's making the prohibition. But if he says Hare at alai cherem, the guy who's prescribing the vow, he's prescribing himself upon the vow. So if the guy comes to him, he would, the guy who said Hare at alai cherem, he would be making the prohibition.
Yep, you've got the idea exactly. Basically, in the
Okay.
first scenario, yeah, so in the first scenario, the person is sort of putting the prohibition onto the other guy. And in the second scenario, he's flipping it and placing it on himself. So if that other guy comes to him, then he's the one who has to keep the prohibition. Basically, it's just about who the restriction is on, and you nail the explanation.
All right. All right. So it makes sense now. So in the first one, he's placing the prohibition upon another person. Excuse me. In the second one, the prohibition he's putting upon himself. Asur hamadir asur. V'mishum ha'agav natanam charamim hacha hacha. And because of this, because he's doing prohibitions, and it's not really talking about the the dedication to the temple. Excuse me. That's why he taught Shuhaigav Natana Haramim Chacha. That's why he taught the 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 uh
Yeah, you're right on
the
track. Basically,
that's why he taught the um that's why he taught the uh this concept of bands over here. Not that, not in another connotation, this harem ban, even though it means dedicating something to a temple, in this context, harem means like a ban. That's why he taught it here, specifically in the tractate where it deals with vows that, like that you would be able to prohibit stuff upon yourself, or we could prohibit stuff upon ourselves. And if I think, although even though later it says we shouldn't, there's a still concept that we're like that it is a thing that is possible for us to do. Like it's an existing concept, However, we shouldn't do vows, and I think later on he's gonna say that it's not good, that we shouldn't do it, and it's not it's not even considered praiseworthy, even though many people think it is. However, it's not. We should stay far away from it. Um, However, with God's help, we'll get to that actually inside the text, where we can actually see it inside. That's what I heard they say. Well, I heard a lot of people they say that. However, with God's help, we'll actually see it inside. Okay. Um, Hi Gavna, Mishum Hi Gavna, Tana Charamim Hacha Deilu Cherem Bedek Abayit. If it was if the word cherem had the connotation of dedicating stuff to the temple, lo shaychi b'hai Massechet, it wouldn't be relevant to this tractate. Rather, ella b'seder kodshim, rather in the order of kodashim, the holy of holiness.
Exactly. You've explained it.
So it would be in there. It's in the actual order of the Mishnah. Venidre isur hem be'echad mishlosha drachim. Venidre isur, and the prohibition, when a person prohibits something upon himself, it's one of three ways. Sorry. One, ikar haneder. One, it is the essential vow. The second is a nickname, and the third is v'yadot. And the third is this. What? How would you explain yadot?
Yeah, so in that context, yadot is kind of like an incomplete or partial expression of a vow. Basically, it's when you say part of a phrase or you kind of hint at a vow without saying the whole formal wording.
Okay,
So
okay.
you got the main.
So you got you got the main essential vow, like the traditional and standard vow. You got nickname, and you got stuff that is considered hints, like hints to a vow. Okay, so with God's help, we'll be back with you guys in the next video, where we actually explain the different ones, the three different types of vows that deal with prohibition. So we learned today that there's two types of vows. One it is the vow that you dedicate something to the temple or to the altar, and the second one is when you give over some kind of thing you have permission to benefit from into like the category of like prohibition upon you know either into the category of prohibition, meaning like the person like prohibits something upon themselves, for whatever reason, but it's specifically that is the second type of vow. So there's two. One deals with prohibiting things upon themselves, when someone prohibits something upon themselves or tries to prohibit something upon somebody else, like to make a prohibition to somebody else, and the other person like agrees or whatever. Or it is when somebody dedicates something to the temple, right? And this one specifically, he says it's going to be dealing with the vows that deal with prohibition, and that there's three categories of vows that deal with prohibitions. So one is the standard vow, second one is a nickname, and the third one is the hints to a vow. Okay, and regarding to whether a person can prohibit something for somebody else, another person agrees, and he's binded under a prohibition. Actually, I heard that from one Rav. His name is David Fink, and I think he was also learning Massechet Nedarim. So, other than that, that's this is it for today. And however, it'd be nice to see that concept with the prohibiting if a person, how like what he said, that a person can prohibit something upon somebody else, and the other person just has to agree. It'd be nice to see that also inside here. So with God's help, and if you know more about that, definitely write it in the comments, and whatever. Um, so other than that, with God's help, we'll be back to you guys next couple videos, and yeah, wish you guys all good success, and a lot of good and memorable learnings, for you in all the categories of the Holy Torah. Okay. Other than that, we'll see you guys with God's help in the next couple of videos. Okay. Peace.